it's Linda here from Homely Lass, and welcome to our third Happy Handmade Christmas Workshop. So in the first workshop, we made pom-pom baubles to hang on the Christmas tree and we crocheted hearts. In the second workshop, we made pom-pom garlands to go on the Christmas tree or hang around your home. And this one, workshop number 3, we are going to decorate our presents with pom-poms. I'm going to show you how to make these pom-poms and make this pom-pom. We're going to make this here. and tell you how to do this one. I'll show you how to do this as well. So yes, making pom-poms, beautiful pom-poms, putting them on presents, just to make your presents extra special for your family and friends. And then they can be reused later on. So a permanent reminder of Christmas. And this Christmas, it's Christmas 2020. 2020 has been a bit of a crazy year. So we all need some extra Christmas love and vibes this year. So let's jump in. If you're watching live, whether you're joining me in Zoom or on Facebook, say hi. Say hi in the chat or the comments and let me know where you're watching from. I love hearing from you. And feel free to ask any questions as we go along. And if you're watching later on Facebook, you can always say hi in the comments and put your questions in there as well. And I'll answer those when they come through. So let's dive in. I need to change my camera back around. Let's do that first. Here we go. Okay, so let's get started. I'll put these to the side. So I have a lovely unwrapped, unadorned, it's wrapped but unadorned present here for us to wrap later on. So what are we using? So what do you need to make these? So what I've got, I have an empty bowl. This is for later on for trimming the pom-poms. And it's a good idea because it keeps all the fluff in one spot. It makes it easier to clean up afterwards. We have yarn. I'm using Homely Bliss. This is a chunky merino yarn. It's uniquely made so it doesn't shed and fluff everywhere. And it also makes beautiful pom-poms. And the reason for that is it's got lots of little bits twisted in lots of 3. And as it's fluffed or opened up or massaged, the yarn opens up and then it makes those lovely full pom-poms like you can see here. So Homely Bliss merino wool, scissors suitable for pom-pom trimming. These are our chunky yarn scissors, and then my favorite pom-pom trimming scissors. I've tried heaps. So favorite chunky yarn scissors and favorite pom-pom trimming scissors, a tape measure or ruler, and of course a Pom-Pom Maker. I'm using the one that's in our Pom-Pom Clip Kit or our Pom-Pom Garland Kit. Okay, so, and you need a present to wrap. So I'm going to start out by cutting the tie to go around the present. Yes, do that first. We'll start with that. So I'm just going to pull some yarn out here. So I'm going to measure. I'm going to work out how much yarn I need. Oh, we've got Tina's joining us live. Hi. Oh, Tina's from Adelaide. Welcome, Tina. And Tony is from Perth. Welcome, Tony. I cannot make a pom-pom for anything, so looking forward to some great tips. Well, you're in the right place. Definitely, Tony. Okay, so we're going to cut the tie first. So that's this bit here on the pom-pom. Yep, so doing it first so we've got it available when we need to tie up our pom-pom. So I'm actually going to do it specifically for this present. So I know I'm going to wrap my, how I'm going to wrap my yarn around my present. So I know it needs to be at least that length plus a bit more so I can actually tie it. And then I'm going to add another 30 centimeters just to be extra conservative. Because I've got to wrap it around the pom-pom and tie it up as well. So there's 30 centimeters and I know that's going to be long enough. So it's it wraps, ties around the pom-pom. We wrap it around twice, so it's extra secure. Okay, so that's all we need the tape measure for. Uh-oh, I measured the wrong way. Okay, ignore what I just did. That's a bit funny. So wrapping the yarn around the present, as I know I'm going to have to. And then don't measure towards the end, measure 30 centimeters towards the ball. Oh, that was a little bit hilarious. What not to do, which is always important. So there you go. If you do end up short with your tie, it doesn't matter. What you can do is use a separate bit of yarn to wrap around the present and then just tie the pom-pom on there at the top. So it's okay. Okay, so we're going to start out, because this is so thick, it's not the best for tying around the pom-pom. So we're actually going to separate it into 3. There we go. Like that. And just pull it apart, similar to how you'd pull embroidery floss apart. Creating a knot here. Yet again, what not to do. Ah. Oh, I do have a bit of it. There we go. It was wrapped around it. So keep your end out. Here we go. That's better. De-twist. De-twist. Still going. Okay, so we only need 1 of these for the tie. So put the rest of your yarn aside for later. Okay, so tie is ready for when we need it. Now we need to start with, we need the pom-pom, we need some yarn, we'll need our scissors later. Okay, so this is a Pom-Pom Maker and it might look a little bit intimidating, but it's really not. When you know how to use them, it's quite straightforward. So what it is, it's actually 2 pieces. I'll pull that apart. 2 pieces, and there's 2 arms on each side. So a total of 4 arms. And I like to think of it, it's a bit like a transformer because things come apart and move around and everything else. So start out by opening both arms on one side like that. So 2 together. I'm just going to show you something before we go any further, because it's a bit hard to show you later on. So you can see between the 2 arms, it looks like there's a V like that. And that is where our scissors go when we cut around the Pom-Pom Maker. It sits in the V like that. And then at the end, when we're tying our Pom-Pom Maker up, the yarn slides down and goes in between those 2 arms and then wraps around like that. So there you go. That's just a bit of reference for later. Okay, so open up 2 arms together on one side and grab your yarn, and we're going to wrap it around both arms. And we're going to do 3, wrap it nice and tight. We're going to do 3 layers of yarn with the Homely Bliss yarn. And my theory is that the more yarn you can get into the Pom-Pom Maker, the better. It comes out looking a little bit odd shaped, but more yarn is good. So there we go. So that's wrapped nice and tightly. And the reason why I say to wrap it nice and tightly is to get as much yarn as present. So how I know I've got enough yarn is this little arch is full. And when I close that up, it's full in between the 2 grey sides, but it still closes nicely. And this bit here is sitting down nicely there. And then chop that off. And open up the other side. So 2 arms on the other side. And we're doing exactly the same thing. So wrapping the yarn around those two arms, nice and tightly, like that. Around and around, and just keeping the yarn, like putting each piece, each wrap side by side in the middle of the arch. And I love these close that up. I love these pom-pom makers over the cardboard donuts because they're just so much easier to use. And then cut that off there. Okay. So we've done all our yarn winding. And so now the next step is to cut the yarn around here. Now, once we've cut the yarn around here, the Pom-Pom Maker is holding all these little bits of yarn together. So don't undo it until we've tied it. Otherwise it ends up as a bit of a mess. Okay, so remember how I showed you how the scissors ran between the two arms in the V? That's what we're doing now. And I always start off at the hinge end. I just find it's just easier that way, and just trim around nice and gently. There's quite a bit of yarn that we're cutting through. Trim, trim, trim. And then do the same thing on the other side. So making sure these arms stay in and don't pop out. Like that. Trim, trim, trim. There we go. This is exciting. So if you've got questions at any stage, feel free to ask, or if you'd like me to show anything again. Now grab your tie. And like I showed you before, the tie goes in between the two arms and then slides down in between them. So it goes up against the yarn. So wrap that around. So put it through here and then wrapping it around this way, like this. There we go. And get your two ends and just make sure it's sitting roughly in the middle of the tie. There we go, like that. And then tie a knot on this side. Tie a knot like that. Wiggle these arms in just to make sure they're sitting in as closely as possible. And then we're going to wrap it around the other side again and tie the double knot. So it's super, super secure. There we go. And then do that again. We don't want our pom-pom falling apart. So nice and secure. Yay. Okay. So I'm actually going to, this time, I'm going to just have a little bit of a tidy up of the Pom-Pom Maker before we pull it apart. So just trim off these big bits. Make sure this is nice and even around the edge. Here's another big bit. And I've got my bowl to trim into. Makes it easier to clean up at the end. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to put my bowl aside for a little bit. So now we're going to take the pom-pom out of the Pom-Pom Maker. So open up each arm. Open that up there and there. Look at that. And I'm using the grey Homely Bliss yarn today. There we go. So each of the arms are out, open and out. Now we're going to pull apart from the sides. So pull apart like this. Ta-da! We have an untrimmed pom-pom. Doesn't really look like this just yet. And then pop the metal bar into the hole here. We're just putting the Pom-Pom Maker back together. And close your arms and you're ready. Your Pom-Pom's Maker's ready to make another pom-pom. Okay, so now we need to trim. We'll trim our pom-pom before we put it on a present. And you can kind of see the tie. It's not kind of, you can definitely see the tie there. So, and it looks a bit messy. So what we're going to do now is fluff, lots of fluffing and massaging and lots of trimming. So hold on to your tie. You need to be careful as you're trimming not to cut your tie. But if you do, you can just separate the yarn out and just tie another wrap around there. Okay, so just massage, give the yarn a bit of a massage, encourage it to open out and to fill up those gaps around the tie. Massage, massage, massage. Or fluff, 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 whatever you want to call it. Okay. And those, you can see that's getting smaller, and it's going to get even smaller as we start trimming. Okay, so do a bit more massaging. So trimming pom-poms is something that needs patience. And it's one of those things, if you're kind of getting to the stage of this just isn't working for me, put it down and come back to it later. No, go for a walk, do something else, get a bit of fresh air, and come back to it later. And like I've trimmed lots and lots of pom-poms, but I still get to the point of, oh, this just looks scrappy, scraggly. But then it seems to reach a point of like, this is, yeah, it just kind of all falls into place. So it's okay. Don't be hard on yourself that you can't do it. You totally can, but just be patient, stick with it, and lots of tiny cuts. So scissors out at the ready. Talking about tiny cuts, let's start off. We're going to trim these long bits and just trim them so they're the same length or close to the same length as the yarn beside. So just targeting the long bits first, getting them sitting down a bit better. There we go. There's another bit. And when you think you've got all the really obvious long bits, do a bit more fluffing and massaging. There we go. And then do the same bit, just even out those longer bits. Because as you fluff and massage, like it opens the yarn out and it like becomes untwisted and gets a bit longer and all of that kind of fun stuff. Okay, so just lots of little tiny clips when you're cutting. You see this has got a kind of funny sticky out bit. I'm just going to trim that off just to suit the yarn on either side. Just remembering lots of little cuts, but also don't cut your tie. I like to hold on to my tie because then I can't cut it because I know exactly where it is. It's under my fingers. So Homely Bliss, like I said, is great for making pom-poms because it's got lots of little bits that are twisted together in lots of 3. But that, which is great for making nice full pom-poms. You can see how it's really opening out and filling in all the holes. But it's also great because the twist in the yarn and twist it again and again and again means the yarn doesn't shed. Which chunky yarns that don't have a lot of twist are prone to shedding and leaving fluff everywhere. And there's nothing worse when you're crocheting or knitting with a yarn and it's just covering you in fluff, and then when you're using your blanket or scarf or whatever, it leaves fluff over you and your home. Homely Bliss doesn't do that. It will peel slightly. It is, after all, a merino wool, so it's a natural fibre. It peels slightly, but definitely not a lot. and looks good. You can use it again and again and again, and it still looks good year after year after year. Okay, let's do some more trimming. So once I've got most of the long bits trimmed off, which it's at that stage, what I do then is I get my pom-pom, I look at it, and then I rotate it. And I do lots of tiny trims to go around, just kind of get the bits that are sticking out and aren't looking very circular. And if your pom-pom is looking a bit egg-shaped, just kind of trim off that eggy end. So just hold it and rotate it. And then once I've done that direction, I'll turn it around and then do the same thing in another direction. Being careful not to trim off the tie. The tie is very important. So it's lots of trimming and fluffing. And as I get to this stage, to just help the yarn open up even more, I get the end of the scissors and I put it into the end of the yarn and just pull it out. So that just fluffs it up even more, opens the yarn out, fills in the gap. And this bit, I love this bit the most. It's very meditative. Just the fluffing and the fluffing and the trimming. And how I like to, at what point you stop trimming your pom-pom is up to you. Some people like the kind of the real rustic, plenty of character look, and some people like the really highly manicured pom-pom, trimmed pom-pom. So totally up to you and what you like. But the secret, whichever one you do, lots of tiny trims, lots of fluffing as well to fill in the gaps. So it looks a bit scruffy, but that's okay. Just rotating and trimming and lots of fluffing. Hi, Joanna from Portugal. So glad you're joining us. Trim, trim, trim. So I'm not going to get this to the highly manicured, the highly manicured pom-pom stage. The process is exactly the same. It's just lots more of it. But that's not looking too bad. I'm calling this the rustic stage. Tiny bit scruffy, but full of character. There we go. But if you want to keep going and going and going, you can get them looking. They're not completely highly manicured, but they're well on their way to it. So that's the process. Just keep doing that. So I'm happy. I will probably come back to this one later on, but I am happy that's looking pretty good. So put your bowl and your scissors aside for later. And now, and pick up any extra little bits of fluff that have escaped. There's just a light covering of fluff over my table here. That into the bowl. Okay, so now grab your present that we're going to wrap this around. Okay, so what we're aiming for is this here. And we measured the length of our tie so we know it's going to work. So grab your pom-pom and pop it where you want it to sit. So I'm going to go center and center. So I'm going to hold it there like that. Turn your present over, wrap the yarn around there. And then when it gets to the middle, cross it over like that. And make it so it's looking a bit centered. And adjust that. And then, so cross it over and then wrap it back around the other side. And I'm actually going to show you how I did that again. So hold the pom-pom where you want it to be and grab the ties. I'm going to wrap it around. Like that. back around like that. And when we're at the pom-pom, put the yarn under the other tie like that, the one that went around first. And then the same here under that one there. And you've got two ways you can tie this. You can either tie it as a bow or like as a wreath or a square knot. I like to do it as a bow just because it's easier to pull apart. So start by doing the start of the bow. So wrapping one end around the other. Pull that so it tightens it up under the pom-pom. And this is a good time just to kind of adjust things here so they're looking nice and even and square. There we go. And then just do a tiny bow. So make a loop, wrap around, pull that back through. So I'm just tightening the tie up under the pom-pom, and I'm just going to give it really tiny ends. If you wanted to, you could make your tie, your bow a bit bigger and make it a bit of a feature on your parcel, but I'm going to make the bow really tiny so it just sits in and underneath there. Make sure it's nice and secure and tight. So teeny tiny ends to the bow, and then I'm just going to trim them off. Like that. And trim that one off there too. And just adjust that. So it's looking good. If you're not quite happy with how your pom-pom is sitting, you can always put a little bit of double-sided tape underneath. But I am happy with that. So that is how to make your presents extra special with pom-poms this Christmas. And you can totally go to town with making multicolored pom-poms using a different tie, yarn or string. Yeah, lots of fun. But I'm going to now show you how I did this here, how I got the 3 on and looking like that. So I've got 2 pom-poms here, so I'll show you with 2, but the process is the same, regardless of how many pom-poms you've got. So I got my pom-poms, I held them at the base there, and I got all of the ties together and wrapped around like that. And just tied that into a knot. Make it so it's sitting nice and close in underneath the pom-poms like that. Tighten it up. And then get the 2 ends. Separate them, hold them out, and then wrap. I just held that on the parcel like that. Wrap that around. Hold it there, and then tie a wreath knot, or I think it's also called a square knot, just on the back here, because it sits nice and flat. That's what I've done here. So over and under. So how I check that it's right is this side goes over and over, and the other one goes under and under. Tighten that up like that. Pull it nice and tight. Check everything's sitting right on this end. Turn it over and just trim those ends off. And then that's nice. And the 2 different ways I've tied these. So this one here, well, they're the same, or the little bow under there. You could totally do a bow here as well. Up to you, what your personal preference is. Either is fine. They're easy enough to pull apart. So the pom-poms can be reused later. So there you go. This parcel is extra special because it's got 5 pom-poms on it. Here you go. How's that? Look at that. Oh, that looks pretty cool. There you go. Masses of pom-poms. So many different ways you can experiment and have fun decorating your presents. I actually think that would look better on the other end. Cute. How is that for a fun present? And then this one here. And then this one in rhubarb. Tony says, thank you. I might have to order one of your pom-pom makers. There you go. If you guys have got any more questions, let me know now. I I'm just going to show you what I've used to make these. So the yarn that we used is Homely Bliss. This is what it looks like. It comes in a 100-gram mini skein or a 300-gram skein. They're both exactly the same yarn. There's just 100 grams in this, and the other one is 3 times bigger and is 300 grams. So that's available in the Homely Lass online shop. The Pom-Pom Maker I used is the one from here, the Pom-Pom Clip Kit. The Pom-Pom Clip Kit makes these, comes with full video tutorials, has got the yarn and clips in it to make 2 of these. It looks like in the purple, and that's the Pom-Pom Maker we've used. That's the scissors we've used. The scissors are also available separately in our online shop, and so are these gorgeous tape measures. There's no plastic or anything in it, so they'll keep working for years and years. I'm a big fan of using quality tools that last for a really, really long time. So that's the Pom-Pom Clip Kit. Pom-Pom Clip Kit and our Homely Bliss yarn is currently 15% off till Friday with the code Handmade Virtual, and that is on the top of our website. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to tell you about today. I love this one. This one is cute. How cute is this one? So yeah, there's the Pom-Pom Clip Kit. This is also the same size Pom-Pom Maker as in the Pom-Pom Garland Kit, and these tiny ones, they're the size of the Pom-Pom Maker from the, what's it called? The Pom-Pom Bauble Kit. I can't wait to get my Christmas tree out and hang my pom-pom baubles on and decorate more Christmas presents. How much fun is that? So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed this workshop. Like I said, we've done workshop 1 and 2. They're available to watch now on the Homely Lass website. This one will be going up there as well. It's in a blog post called Happy Handmade Christmas. And then next Saturday, same time next Saturday, I'm going to be showing you how to make our warm heart blanket. That's going to be super fun. So good. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you've got any questions at all, get in touch with me via Instagram message, Facebook message, email, or our web chat is the bottom right corner of our website. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I should just pop into the Facebook bit where to find the other workshops. Let's do that right now. I'm going to just turn the camera. See, you don't have to see my arm. You can see my face. It's always better, isn't it? There we go. Here I am. I'll pop that into the link of where to find the workshops. Oop, oop. Oh, here it is. I couldn't find the little place to put it. That's where to find all the workshops and where to find the Pom-Pom Clip Kit. I'll pop that into the comments as well in Facebook. Nope, that's not it. There we go. So those 2 links, one to the workshop, one to the Pom-Pom Clip Kit, are in the comments in Facebook group. Where am I? Get my screen back. Here we go. So there you go. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed this. Have fun going through the other Happy Handmade Christmas workshops as well. And I will be back next Saturday. As I said, we're making the warm heart blanket.